So the start, so the way to start, I'm thinking, is the channel. Everyone has over the last, I don't know, a couple of years, maybe a bit longer, suggested that, with the advent of cloud and all that, the channel is becoming increasingly obsolete, irrelevant. But that doesn't seem to be the case. There is actually, still a role for it. But I'm guessing they are facing challenges with, hyperscalers, cloud providers, etc. So how would you, I guess, characterize that overall channel landscape?
Yeah, so I would start with saying I think the channel broadly, right? When we talk about the channel or the partner ecosystem, I think it really demonstrates the resiliency that that partners have and can bring to the marketplace. I think it starts with customers are always interested in choice, and I think partners bring choice, right? It's really one of the core values of the channel ecosystem is they bring choice to customers, and customers are looking for guidance and advice in an ever more complex world of IT options. And if you even look at the way partners are driving business today, I think a lot of partners, especially over the past 5 years, have seen sort of where the business is heading and have, they started making these adjustments years ago with different hiring practices, bringing on more, intellectual property workers, if you will, right? More knowledge workers into the organization, shifting the balance of people from sales to more, knowledge workers and billable resources, which has really just been the precursor to shifting to a services-oriented market, right? And that partners, have been able to navigate or weather this shift from on-prem to cloud and the move to as-a-service business models because they've wrapped more and more of their own capabilities in terms of services around the product. So, I think it's great. It's a great starting question, and certainly I think it frames out the statement that it's easy to say, the channel is going to is doomed, but the reality is far from it. I think partners have shown resiliency and shown a forward view that says they know where kind of the business is heading and have optimized and organized their businesses and their organizations to support that future direction.
And is it fair to say on the sort of converse way that part of the reason the channel is having something of a resurgence is it's almost got a unique position as a sort of aggregator of all this hybrid IT, whether it's on-prem. I guess some of them are still selling hardware, software, but a lot of it is more services. You've got the telcos, the hyperscalers, and the end user, rather than spend all their time and energy on assembling an IT infrastructure, is happy to trust a channel company or companies to do that while they get on with the business of doing whatever it is that's their speciality.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the point of that choice comment that I made earlier, that partners bring choice, and customers have a choice of, do I keep application workloads on premises or do I put them in the cloud? A partner can help a customer make that decision. The answer has a different economic impact. But from a partner perspective, what they look to do to equalize that is, hey, I'm going to sell a set of services, whether it's on premises or a set of services that's in the cloud. And my financial model might look different, right? I might see a revenue stream adjusted over a period of time as it's an as-a-service kind of arrangement, or I might see a one-time revenue opportunity in terms of product sale and margin. But the unifier is going to be, hey, I'm going to sell services regardless, right? And that's why I think the partners will continue to thrive and grow, because they can bring choice, and they can bring services to the table that that customers need. And I think on the opposite side, customers are they're struggling with people. How do they keep people, but how do they make the people they have as productive as possible? Partners can absolutely help with that. They can absolutely help them with some of the key decision making, or deliver services of their own to help offset either a labor shortage or a gap in coverage that a customer might have. So I think the partner environment and the opportunity to represent the total portfolio of choice that's out in the marketplace it hasn't been stronger, frankly. It hasn't been stronger, and it's certainly driven a large wave of consolidation. You see it both in regions and globally in terms of partners aligning. And so I think scale is going to matter. It certainly is going to, scale is going to be important. But at the same time, regional partners, local market partners absolutely fill in and do a great job of servicing customers, and again, helping them understand what are their choices, what are the different ways they can deliver IT, and how can it help the business ultimately be more successful.
And I guess to what you said there, there's clearly an existing portfolio, if you like, of well understood technologies, etc. But there are some emerging offerings as well. And I'd just be interested in any views you have. I mean, 5G is perhaps I don't know, is it one of the biggest hype things since I think virtualization was a massive hype that kind of was out there, then nobody knew quite what to do with it. And then, 3 or 4 years later, maybe that's exaggeration, everyone suddenly worked out. How would you characterize the sort of 5G and I guess the edge is related in terms of where it's at?
Yeah, I think it's it's a continuum of trends, right? You mentioned virtualization, and I think virtualization certainly from kind of the early stages, sort of the early 2000s through 2010, 2011, virtualization I think did have a big impact on IT consumption. It certainly enabled more IT, customers could all of a sudden could start packing more and more workloads into the infrastructure level, but instead of consolidating, they continue to grow outward and expand, where you just saw this sort of endless capacity of IT processing capability driven, I think, by virtualization. And then the pendulum swings to cloud, and all of a sudden you have this big shift to cloud. And if you look at some of the data, and I've looked at this myself, when you look at sort of the data growth or the growth of IT consumption from 2000 to 2010 under the virtualization banner, if you will, and then 2010 to present under a cloud, right? We thought virtualization drove great growth, and now cloud is 4 or 5x that. And and so there absolutely is this strong these strong trends that I think drive consumption and drive changes of customer patterns. I think edge is another one where it creates new use cases and introduces new ways that keep it in the channel perspective, that partners can help customers solution things, right? And help them come up with different ways to leverage edge technology. And 5G just kind of takes down the barriers that were used to be land bound. Say, hey, to make these solutions work, we have to figure out the infrastructure, we have to figure out the network and connectivity. And now 5G, all of a sudden you get all of the the handcuffs are taken off, as it were, and you have this great connectivity capability. And with edge computing, you can put things in small form factors, align them in so many different ways. And again, this is where I think partners who have invested in edge or 5G or any area of practice have been able to come in and sell their value to be able to help customers or architect solutions. And I think you look across the channel from whether it's large distribution partners or value-added resellers or system integrator partners, they're all able to deliver really interesting solutions that really are focused on helping customers solve some really big and tough challenges.
And part of the challenge of the edge, and I mean, obviously IT more generally, cybersecurity never goes away. I guess most days somebody somewhere gives us a headline about somebody getting hacked or some data getting released that shouldn't,
Sure.
etc. I'm just wondering, clearly there's an opportunity there. There's a lot of solutions out there with lots of fancy names, and I'm wondering as well, should partners be selling cybersecurity as a separate service, or do you think they should be sort of not hiding it but delivering it with applications as read, so that maybe end users don't necessarily need to know what's going on, but they trust again that the partner in delivering a particular application has secured that application along the way?
Sure. if you look at, just go to any, any partner's website and you'll see security as a practice area, right? I think, the channel has moved quick and fast to support security as a practice. And again, it's a great example of the opportunity here where it's not about so much the product sale as it is about the consultancy and the strategy that customers need help with. You can go buy stuff easily and simply over the internet and download different tools, but it doesn't give you a strategy. It doesn't give you, an approach. And if you're a chief information security officer at a company, the number one thing you're going to be looking for are, who are the people that can help me make decisions? Who are the people that can help me implement the technology? And especially for a lot of companies, they don't have the people on staff, right? They don't, they might have hired a CISO, but they don't have the depth of knowledge in their organization to implement complex cybersecurity platforms. And so partners step in and actually can deliver great services. And if you kind of look at the emerging MSSP marketplace, where partners are offering security as a managed service to customers, it's a great example of how they've been able to quickly fill in the gaps where the customers have and the market has to deliver services and solutions to customers. So I think this is, if anything, it's a great example of and a proof of how partners can quickly navigate and move to where the opportunity is and bring real value, because they are, they're hiring people that have that expertise and knowledge, and they can actually come and deliver something for a customer that improves their scenario, improves their situation, and actually helps them be more successful. So it's a great practice area. It's one I see every partner has investing in and delivering at different scales, but certainly is focused on it.
Okay, and I'm going to come to AI and the area of focus that I think plays as a particular role to play. But just before that, a bit left field, sustainability. We've got COP26 in the not too distant future. I mean, do you think sustainability is a sellable sort of asset for the channel at this moment, or will it become so as potentially environmental considerations legislation kicks in more strictly? What do you think might happen?
Sure. Yeah, I think sustainability is one that I sort of have it's a spectrum of for every partner, which is in and themselves a business, and they have their own sustainability thoughts and targets that they want to meet and reach. And so there's the their own investment and support of it, all the way to how do they help customers achieve their targets from a sustainability standpoint. And so partners are again, back to that consultancy, back to the skills that they can bring to the customer, can work with the customer on their specific sustainability requirements. And it can be simple things like partners that help reduce packaging content, right? So that customers don't have all of the packaging waste to deal with. Or it can be more complex solutions like, how do you reduce the carbon footprint in the data center? Data center carbon footprint has come up a lot, around Bitcoin, right? There's been a lot of talk about Bitcoin, and nobody has been focusing on the carbon costs of driving Bitcoin and all of the the energy and consumption and carbon waste that's produced generating Bitcoin. And I think it's just a good example of how that sort of massive growth in data centers and the consumption of IT has this sort of other side of consequence of that. It has a really, could have a potentially big impact on the environment, and how do you manage that? And so can partners help customers do things like better understand the assets in their data center and look for opportunities to consolidate and collapse, reduce the number of devices sitting in the data center, leverage virtualization to put more workloads on a single platform, and reduce power consumption, cooling requirements in the data center. And that's one of the things that we focus on in some of our capabilities like discovery, where we'll work with the customer to just figure out what do they have. A lot of customers don't know what they have. They don't know what the the servers, the infrastructure, what it's doing, what parts of it are running mission critical, what parts could be updated or upgraded to more efficient, lower power consumption, better cooled platforms. So there's a lot of ways I think partners can step in and help customers better get a handle on their own carbon footprint. How do they reduce it? As well as how do they help them dispose, right? Which I think is another part of the equation that sometimes gets overlooked is how do you, once you're done with an asset, what do you do with it? How do you dispose of it responsibly so that it doesn't add to a global problem, that it can actually be either recycled, reused, or can be environmentally and ethically torn down in a way that it is positive. So I think partners have a great role to play in there, and I think they can do a lot to help customers achieve their goals, while partners focus on their own sustainability targets.
Okay, and maybe the last, there's loads happening, but the last big broad area is probably artificial intelligence, which covers a sort of multitude of sins underneath it. And clearly there's a level of expertise maybe in there that a lot of partners aren't perhaps as comfortable with as some of the other things we've talked about. So what do you see, automation, AI, etc., what do you see as the potential for the partners? And I know Park Place, I think AI Ops is a part of what you do as well. So just
Sure.
A bit of thoughts as to what contribution it can make to the customer, and therefore the opportunity for the channel to provide that.
Yeah, it's a great question. So AI is really a data question, and there's that adage of software is going to eat the world, and in many ways it's it's true. AI is the software, data is AI is the engine, data is the fuel for the engine. And so it's really a data question. And, and I'd go back to just take a look at who are the people that partners hire today. Just in the last, 3 or 4 years, I meet, especially some of the larger partners who talk about, the number of data scientists they have on staff, the number of people that they have that are really focused on helping customers better utilize and leverage their data in their environments, which ultimately you need the data if you're going to run any kind of AI platform and ultimately drive, some kind of outcome. And so I think, AI is really a data question. And I think partners that are, again, building practices around AI are really building practices around data management and data analytics. And, again, just based on what I see in partners that I work with, a lot of them are bringing those kinds of resources on staff, which again goes back to the criticality of wrapping everything that partners do with services, partner delivered services, because that's the way they make the economics of that model work. When you go hire a salesperson, you pay them as they sell things. When you go hire a data analyst, you're going to pay them no matter what, right? And so, your job is to get them billable, right? Make them billable, get them engaged in opportunities and projects where you can turn around and actually drive revenue, right? And you can actually build a full practice around AI or data as a business. And so, again, I think where there's opportunities in the market, I think partners are going to find a way, right? They're going to look and find the opportunity. They're going to go chase after where they see the business moving and make the adjustments in their organizations to support it. And for ourselves, you kind of mentioned, Park Place, and we too are a big consumer of data. Our AI platform is really all around looking at the performance of our infrastructure and using all of our service data to help better understand and do predictive fault analysis for customers. Our goal, we talk about it, right, is uptime, right? We talk about how do we help customers, maximize uptime. And number one is, prevent failure, which means how can we determine if something's going to fail before it fails? And that's where AI comes in. That's where we use all the data that we have for all of the service incidents that we do, all of the device MTBF data that we have. And we can use all of that to build a profile of the customers that we support And then we can provide predictive analysis to say, hey, this drive is going to fail. We're going to replace it before it fails, right? This fan is going to fail. We're going to replace it before it fails. That is, a real invaluable part, and it's what allows us to then do things like guarantee our service rates and help customers, get the most out of their support dollar, because we know we can deliver the right part at the right time the first time.
And the service, I'll try and get this right. So it's discover, monitor, support, and optimize, I think, DMSO. So I guess the obvious thing is how, I suppose, where are most end users with that kind of activity? Therefore, what opportunities the channel? Are most end users already using AIOps and tools to understand all their infrastructure and it's all great, or I'm thinking potentially not, and therefore, again, in this hybrid world, there's a lot of complexity. There is a big opportunity for some organization to help the end user understand what it is they've got and how to best use that.
Yeah, so in DMSO, discover, monitor, support, optimize, we use that abbreviation for what we see as a new category of service provider, and it really came from the customer. So, you specifically, in your question asking about, the customer point of view, this is our point of view because this is where customers told us to go. This is where we have, through the years that we've been in business and in working with customers, being in their data centers, they've asked us, hey, you're in my data center, can you tell me what I have? Right? You're in my environment, can you tell me how to support it better or optimize it better? Or give me predictive analysis, tell me about what's going on in the environment so that I can prevent issues. So it's very much a customer-driven strategy. It comes from customers, and it really encapsulates what we see as that life cycle to help a customer discover what they have, figure out what's in their environment, what's mission critical, what's the state of it, what's supported, what isn't supported, all the way out to the cloud, what workloads are on-prem, what workloads in the cloud. Support that, monitor that environment so we know what's going on. We can do that predictive analysis. We can tell you about issues before they happen. Support you when there's issues. So whether it's patching issues on the operating system, or alerts that you're getting, or failure indicators, we have the ability to provide the support organization, because we've got a lot of people that are in place to be able to pick up the phone and work with customers. And then ultimately all the way to optimize it. Is it working properly? What can I do to change it? How can I improve the performance and the value of my infrastructure through your optimization work? So, this came through both customers talking to us, and then the strategy really was built working with outside companies like Gartner and Ovum, where we really talked about this new category of service provider. And so, Park Place is a data center services company. We help customers with lifecycle data center services in their environment. And each pillar of that strategy, discover, monitor, support, optimize, aligns to the different customer pain points that we see where customers need help, and our partners are in turn able to go sell those solutions, incorporate them into their portfolio, and for me, I think help differentiate themselves.
And I believe you've acquired a fair amount of companies in the not too distant past to help create your approach, and to sort of optimize your portfolio. And I was going to leave it to the end, but it seems to be relevant maybe to ask here. So I think today or yesterday you've announced you've acquired some intellectual property NetSure from a company called SiteGrid. So
correct.
Can you just give us a bit of an idea what that is and how
Sure.
that links into to what goes on?
Sure. Yeah. SiteGrid is the components that we acquired really aligned to our ability to deliver better service support for customers in a compliant, an OEM compliant way, right? And it allows us to help our customers manage sparing for their assets that are potentially under warranty, right? So they're under the manufacturer's warranty, where we can provide support services, or post warranty, but where we can provide support services that are compliant from an OEM perspective, so they're supported from the manufacturer, and allow us to leverage our organization in terms of delivery and execution of the service environment, with the customer. And along with that is a platform called Clearview that allows us to provide a very complete picture of how we can help the customer maximize their costs, right? In terms of what can we pick up under our support programs, what can we pick up under our enhanced support programs, and what should potentially stay with the manufacturer because of potentially licensing or particular requirements that might be in place. So it's all really about how do we continue to help the customer maximize their investment and focus on both savings as well as great service experience, great delivery experience.
And for the channel itself, I'm right in thinking you've just recently launched the Uptime Partner Portal, and I guess linked to that an Uptime program focused on your partners. So can you perhaps explain what the sort of focus is there?
Yeah, very much so. I'd love to talk about that. We launched this in September, and it's our first global partner program, as well as our first global partner portal. And it's really around two things. One, it's being prescriptive about our strategy with our partners. It aligns certainly from an acquisition standpoint. Park Place acquired Curvature at the end of last year, which also had a set of channel partners that they worked with, and it brings Curvature's partners and Park Place's partners together under a single unified partner program. It establishes membership tiers, and it allows us to help partners understand where they fit within our ecosystem, but more importantly, define how we're going to invest and work with them to grow the business. It's inclusive, so we have room for everybody in our program. We're certainly interested in working with all scales of partners, and there are partners that work with us occasionally. There are partners that work with us every day, and then there's partners that are working with us in a significant way. We want to have a program that aligns to how each of these partners work and want to engage with us, and at the same time support them with tools that allow their sales reps to grow. That's the portal. The portal is our first global portal. It allows our partners to register opportunities globally. It allows for them to get self-service access to things like content, co-branded assets, training content, as well as it increases our engagement directly down to our partner seller reps. So we can assure our partner reps that work for our partners, if they have opportunities, we can connect them directly with our sellers, and we can work together to help support that business and go win. So it's a big step forward in the modernization of our partner program. Really establishes a beachhead for us and what we are looking for as an opportunity now to grow in the coming years, as we expand and look at different ways we can leverage our partners and grow the business ultimately. So we're really excited about the Uptime Partner Program, the Uptime Partner Portal, and one of the other new features we added is our new network specialization track, which will reward partners that want to focus on, in a practice-oriented way, our Intuity and our ParkView networking platforms that align with their practices. We'll give them, additional discounting. They get additional training, but then they also have the ability to sell their own branded services around these products. So it all really aligns around how do we help our partners do more, and how do we demonstrate our focus and investment in the channel.
Okay, maybe in concluding, sort of building on what you said there, there clearly are a range of opportunities for channel organizations. Do you have any thoughts or advice to them? I mean, clearly, if you've got the size and the inclination, I guess you could try and be all things to all people, but is that a practical sort of approach to take, or is it better to try and specialize in, say, the area that you're able to support people, and maybe add a couple of other related things and sort of specialize in say the AI and sort of monitoring, optimize of assets, or is there a right or wrong approach? Any advice you can give folks?
Yeah, I mean, what I think, I think the most successful partners are the ones that focus on, best in class solutions. Again, I think if you, for me, I believe partners, one of their core value propositions is they bring choice. I think I said that at the outset of our talk today, right? Partners bring choice to customers. And that's the reason why I think customers certainly work with partners, because they can bring choice. Now, that's not the only reason. There's a tremendous amount of value that comes along with it. But for sure, when you talk to a partner, I think a lot of customers believe, when they talk to a partner, the recommendations they're going to make are going to be best in class. These are the solutions that the partners have been successful with, that they have worked with, and they are confident in being able to deliver. And in return, partners want to sell things that they know are going to be effective, right? And certainly that's been part of our success with our channel partners, is our partners have been able to sell our services and solutions, and the customer outcomes are great, right? So we are able to, and I think, for ourselves, are one of those best in class providers from a channel perspective for our partners. But in general, I would say, the partners that are focused and have specialization areas where they can wrap services around everything they do, those are the partners that I think are going to be the most successful and have the greatest ability to, own their future, own where they're going, because they're the ones that are, really looking at where should they invest next? What is the next practice area? What are the next solution sets that we need to be bringing on? And have those best in class offerings in your portfolio with great people that you can wrap around it. I think that's the key ingredient right now to, how partners, drive success and remain effective in the market.
And I promise this is the final question,
yeah,
because you give me a lot of your time, for which I'm grateful. Do you have any thoughts as well? You're talking about obviously the partners best in class and that, but how much or how important do you think is the partner telling the customer, the components of a solution, or should the partner ideally be sufficiently sort of confident and the end user sufficiently trusting that if the partner says, I've got a great, security solution or AI solution, whatever it is, and I'm going to implement it, or do you think the customer needs to know that it's a Park Place and whatever else is underneath the hood? Or any thoughts as to what's right there?
Yeah, I think it really, I think that question really talks to the role of the MSP and the channel today, right? Because if you think about MSP providers, in a lot of sense, they're selling themselves, right? They are the service to the customer, and whether it's a managed service around an application or or security, they're stepping forward and saying, hey, I'm going to offer this service to you. Some partners really want to represent that fully, right? And we have a model that works with those partners. Some partners want to be the face to the customer, and we're behind the scenes. So when there's a service event, we can step in and absolutely go execute, but it's the partner that is, talking to the customer and engaging, and we're behind the scenes working with them. I think I think that model absolutely works, and there's a place for it in the market. I think it really depends, and I think it really depends on whether, partner, if a partner, traditional VAR is transitioning to be more of a managed service provider or a hybrid type of partner. I think that's really where you kind of get to the answer to that question of how much do you decompose your solution versus how much do you sell just a managed service or a managed outcome. From our perspective, we want to work with partners really in either model and enable our business to work that way. And I think for partners, I think it's really kind of where's your value proposition, right? What is it that you're good at doing? And what is it that your customers are looking for? And if you have a set of solutions that you can build into that and package up as a solution, I think that's a great business model. It's a great way to go drive in. And I think for a lot of customers, they are kind of looking for, hey, I don't have the resources, the people, the knowledge here to do this. I want to buy this service from you, and I am going to trust you to go deliver it. And so I think that model works, and I think it's certainly pervasive. And I think you see the growth of MSPs in general in the industry. I think that's the answer there, right? A lot of them are doing just that. So I'd go back and just say, it really depends on you as a partner, what your business model is and how you go execute it.
Brilliant. Well, Jeff, I have used up a lot of your time, and I say I'm very grateful
appreciate it.
for that. It's been enjoyable, and thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.